Mr. Choi, if you were a good father to my wife, then why did she start doing a part time job as soon she entered the Choi family? Why? I don't think a child of age 14, 15 years old have some sort of dream to start working as a part time worker to earn money, especially when her so called family is rich enough to feed her all life without lifting a finger. Your other daughter is still depend on your money, and for your reminder, your so-called little daughter is nearly 25 years old. If this is the definition of good father in your eyes, then please send that dictionary to me. I want to have a look of it. Taehyung said in the calm manner, like explaining the things to the newborn baby who didn't know anything. Even in this calmness, the hidden range didn't got unnoticed by Mr. Choi. To this point, Mr. Choi was trembling in fear. He could already guess how much of his and his family's deed are known by Taehyung. Somewhere in his mind, he started regretting his behavior towards. But now, his regret will change nothing. Taehyung looked at his face and sneezed when he saw regret in Mr. Choi's eyes. Well, I don't need to tell you about your own behavior towards my wife. You know better than me. My wife was a scholarship student even ever since she entered your house. So you have never paid a penny to her education. She has been managing her expenses from her teenage. You have never paid a penny to her transfer, gave her never transport facility. She has been using public transport since she was in her school till now. So, Mr. Choi, please enlighten me what you and your family had done for her. If you tell me just a single good deed, I will take you best father in this world. Well, even if you don't think, even rest of your life, you wouldn't be able to answer my question because apart from giving her food and shelter, which her biological father's family has given wholeheartedly to her, if you haven't taken her in your custody, you have done nothing for her. Taehyung finished his words and his eyes were red due to anger. He agreed he was not good to, but for him it was still misunderstanding. But Choi family have known since she was a child, so they don't have any excuse for their behavior towards. Taeyong have made promise to himself once his little wife will wake up, he will treat her as a queen. He might not love her, not yet, but he will pamper her like she is a princess of his world. He will give her everything she deserves, whatever she have desired, he will give to her. She will be envied by every girl. Every girl will dream to be at her place, and especially she will show Choi family that the girl they hide from the world will be known to the everyone. Everyone will adore her. Today I, Kim Tae-hong, the husband of Kim, on behalf of her, cut off all relationships with Choi family. She don't need a family like yours. So make sure nobody from Choi family, especially you, that daughter of yours, and that so-called mother of my wife will never come in front of her. I really don't want my wife. See you all people ever again in her life. You can get the heck out of here. I don't want to see you ever again in front of me. Thank's voice was pleasing to our ears, but his words were not, especially for Mr. Choi. After Taehyung finished his words, Mr. Choi was already trembling like a leaf left in windy storm. We want to explain his action, but he himself knew nothing could justify his wrongdoings, and Taehyung knew already about his all doing. Scared him to death. If Taehyung really have some feeling towards, then he can't imagine future of Choi group. He knew how ruthless Taehyung can be when it comes to protect or revenge his people, and now was one of them. Mr. Choi didn't said a word, and in blink of eye he was out of Taehyung's office. Taehyung closed his eyes to calm his anger he was feeling at the moment. Whoa, that was cool, Tae. I never expect you will confront Choi Woodham like this. Jimin's voice rang in the office, which reminded Taehyung about these two, who were watching all this in silence. Well, Hung, I never think you will bite your own words this soon. Yesterday we asked you about sister in law. I hope you remember that what you said today because it didn't matter at all. Care to explain what changed your mind in just 24 hours? And don't tell us you changed because you got to know she was bullied. You are not the person who changes opinion in the moment of weakness. Jungkook said all these words while walking towards Taehyung's desk to sit in front of him and look towards him for explanation. Taehyung also didn't beat around bushes and gave the answer which they want to hear. She is daughter of Uncle Min. Both Jimin and Jungkook's eyes went wide for the brief moment. Then they asked together, "What?" Taehyung ignored their shocked expression and explained in detail. Last night, after dinner, I talked with Dad and he told me everything about her, including how she got involved in this disgusting family because of her mother's greed, and all this information with which I confront Mr. Choi. I know I did a mistake by judging her without knowing her, but now I know what she has tolerated there. I will surely stand for her. It might be a forced marriage, but still there is a word marriage in it. She is my responsibility. As Taehyung finished his words, his phone rang. He took out it and saw his mother's name flashing on the screen. He tapped on the green icon and placed to its ear. I will be right there. Only words came from his mouth and he went outside of his office, leaving Jimin and Jungkook in confusion. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi went out from Taehyung's office with so much difficulty. What he had expected and what happened here was beyond his imagination. He walked towards his car while his driver and secretary was waiting for him. For one thing he was grateful was he didn't took his secretary along with him. He might have lost all his respect. In his eyes when he had watched Taehyung humiliate him like that. He might have ended up becoming a laughing stock in his own office. His face turned in shade of red due to anger and embarrassment when he recalled how Taehyung humiliated him and then kicked him out from his office. Both of his employees saw gloomy face of their boss, so they didn't make any sound. Their boss was angry, which means he didn't achieve the thing he which for which he came here. Both of them were familiar with Mr. Choi's temper, so his driver silently went inside to start the car and his secretary opened the back door for him to get inside. Mr. Choi driver to take him back to Choi house. Car silently drove to the direction of Choi mansion. Inside the Choi house, Mrs. Choi and Wooden both were sitting on the couch placed in living room. Yurim was scrolling through her phone. Her eyes was red because of anger. No matter which social media site she opened, all were filled with posts regarding Lee family and especially about her own best friend, Lee Sana. She and Sana were friends since young age. Both have similar personalities, which is proud and ambitious. Today, when she got to know that Sana was arrested because of her so called stepsister, she was raging like a mad bull. She will not this mad about the whole incident because she was not that person who will care about anyone from his heart. The only person she loved is herself and her fame. But when she came to know the whole incident was caused by who she hated from the core of her heart, moreover, she came to know it was Taehyung who is taking revenge from Lee family on behalf of. She got so much jealous that she destroyed everything in her room. Taehyung was her most sore spot. She had liked him since she was in college, but later never gave her any face and rejected her again and again. When she got to know was going to marry him, she nearly went mad by this news, but at last her father made her understand that Kim's only want as their daughter-in-law. So there was no way he could make taehyung to marry her. Also, their business was not good, so it was their only chance to save their business. After all this drama, she agreed on this arrangement. Now she is not Now it's not a week and Taehyung already start taking care of like a loving husband. It was the thing she can't expect if she can't get love of Taehyung. So also have no right to have love of him. She was better than she should have got all this attention, all the care. That bloody charity case was no way better getting all this. With all these thoughts in her mind, she asked her father to go to Taehyung's office and the great Yan. She wants Taehyung to take as spoiled person which have no moral, so he will never help that charity case and she will live like an unwanted person in Kim's house, like she lived with them. Now she was waiting for her father to tell her good news of misfortune in Kim's house. While she was waiting for her father, her eyes went towards Choi Mina, her stepmother and biological mother. The hint of disgust and irritation flashed in his eyes when her eyes fell on her. On surface, she was very fond of this stepmother of his. Both behave like lovely mother-daughter pair, but she knows better. This woman, who has no feeling for her own flesh, her own daughter, so how come she was her princess without hidden benefit involving in it? Urim knows Choi Meena more than anyone, even will not know Meena that much Urim knows her. She has saw how ruthless this woman is, how she never pity and always consider her extra burden on herself. This kind of self certain woman will never love anyone. When she came in Choi Mansion after marriage, she saw how much Choi Warren loved his daughter from his first wife. So she approached Warren like kind and loving mother. She behaved like Warren was her source of happiness and life and was very precious to her. But anyone with brain can see through her act. She was a person who neglected her own daughter. How can she be kind and caring? But Choi Warren, it doesn't matter. She was good until she is good to Warren and can fill up her mother's place in his life. He can avoid everything and turn blind eye to everything like he didn't knew about it. Feeling a gaze upon herself, Meena looked towards Urim and saw gloomy face of her. She immediately guessed the reason of her bad mood and said in extra sugar coated voice, Urim, my dear, don't worry, your father will teach that ungrateful but a good lesson. I'm also thinking of visiting Kim House. She might have thought now she is in Kim family, so she can do anything she want. But I will show her her place, Mina said in cold voice. Nobody can think that she is talking about of her own daughter. The way she said those words, but instead of getting happy, Wurim rolled her eyes on her words and said, Stop your nagging, Mom. I know Dad will handle everything. You don't have to poke your nose in the matters which doesn't concern you. Urim said in irritated voice. She was fed up with her pretentious behavior. Mina got red due to anger and embarrassment, but she didn't talk back. It was not who will listen her words but Urim, who will never take her words seriously, and Mina knows. Price of argument with Urim was not something she could handle. If this Papa's princess said to her father something against her, then she will not be able to protect herself from Mr. Choi's anger. Ever since she was married to Choi family, she tried to take care of Urim in every possible way. Because Urim was the only key of her staying in Choi family, Yuri might have treated her as her mother in front of world, but Mina knows she and are the person Yurim hates the most. But she still got lucky because she had Mr. Choi's protection and she treated Yurim with care. So Yurim, all anger, went on. She always made her life difficult and bullied her in every possible mean. Well, for Mina was nothing but disgrace to her, so she never tried to help in anything. Instead, making her life more miserable so she can get good books of Urim. She came out from her thoughts when she heard Khan Horn, indicating Choi Urim came back. She immediately walked out like a good wife, welcoming her husband home, but Choi Forum was not in the mood of her this drama. He he directly vent his anger on her. He slapped Mrs. Choi with all his might, making everyone shocked of his move. You bloody woman, you and your daughter is the worst omen which our Choi family caught. Get the hell out of my sight.